for every branded video that goes up, I have at least 5 organic videos. The best response to a hater is no response. If it's once a week, even if it's once a fortnight, put out something without overthinking it to a point where you ruin that for yourself.
Hello, Lake. Lovely having you today. So, tell me a little bit about how you started off with this journey of content creation and what inspired you and what got you started, basically.
I actually started in high school when Instagram became a thing, but not really as a creator, but more because I loved being in front of the camera. It only picked up, or like I understood the algorithm or how to crack it like 2 years back. And it's a very funny story because I actually was in Mumbai at the time pursuing acting. And for some reason, I thought that 3 months in, I should get a big blockbuster movie and I should be doing the next movie with Ranveer Singh. But that didn't happen because you go in and you realize, it's not as easy as it looks. So I think I started to pour all of that energy into creating content and making skits because I was like, I have the talent. I might as well put it somewhere, because you wake up in the morning and you get ready with for your audition look and you're like, okay, why not use it for somewhere else? So that started to pick up. Comedy skits started to really work out. A lot of lip syncing videos started to go viral.
Those were the
And-
rage back in the day.
Absolutely. And I was like, I need to stick to this. So I feel like when I moved back to Bangalore, giving acting a break because it was just not what I was expecting it to be, content creation worked out. And I think I love it so much that I don't think I'm going to leave this anytime.
Absolutely. And you're amazing at what you do. So I hope you continue doing what you do. So you sort of hit it off during the pandemic period and
Post.
Great. So now diving into the topic at hand, how do you strike a balance between authenticity and a very picture perfect curation that we put out on social media, right? So how do you strike a balance between both of them? Do you put more importance on the authentic side of it, or are you more concerned about the curation bit of it? How do you balance it out? About you,
I think curating content or to make it look aesthetically pleasing for me to an extent matters. Like I see at least 70% of that because I know that human beings are visual creatures and I would rather look at a video longer if it just looks neater, is pleasing to the eyes, has colors, as compared to someone who's put no effort into the aesthetics. Even though the message is good, I might not be interested in my retention won't be as long. So I do make sure that if I'm shooting, I'm checking the background, I'm making sure things are clear, I'm making sure I'm styling my hair or putting on makeup just so that it'll help me in the end, and that in turn will help me get the audience I want. But at the same time, I make sure that it doesn't get too perfect. Every time I feel like I'm putting across a very airbrushed version, because I also work as a model, and there are times that pictures come out where I'm looking fabulous, like out of the blue, and I make sure that probably the last 2 slides actually show a BTS of me struggling or falling in heels a little or my makeup getting messed up, because that's when people relate to you and people want to follow you and kind of aspire or to be you while also seeking some sort of inspiration from you.
I think that little strain of relatability should be in the content, because I was reading about this a few days back that according to a study by Stackler done in 2021, apparently 86% of customers like to engage more in
When it's relatable.
yes, when the
Yes.
content is more relatable, they find it to be more appealing to them, right? So absolutely, like there has to be a balance between showing what
Yes,
who
balance
you
is the
really
key.
are and showing something aesthetic, so that people should have a reason, right, to come look at your content.
Of course, yes.
Exactly. And since you are a lifestyle creator, you have to show certain personal aspects of your life to the audiences, right? Like you would be showing your personal style preferences, your personal food preference. But how do you decide where to draw the line? How do you know what amount of your private life can you show on social media and what amount can you hold back? How do you draw the line there?
I've actually learned it the hard way because I remember thinking that social media is where you need to show everything because it's very hard to draw a line when you're a lifestyle influencer, especially to know, okay, what should you show the audience and what should you hold back. So I was in a relationship that I was so obsessed over, and I remember making edits for the guy and putting it up on my
You've always
stories.
there,
Embarrassing. I didn't have as big of an audience, luckily, so that's why they say, do your trial and error in the beginning, so you learn earlier. And I think when that ended, fortunately, honestly, I mean, a lot of people then had questions. Ki, oh, but what happened? Aren't you with that XYZ person anymore? You're not posting pictures, da, da, da. And that time it felt intrusive to me. I was like, that's not your business.
But at the same time, you were
I
the
was the
one
one who
churning out
gave
content,
that
right?
content out
Yes.
for them, and it's fair for them to then ask because you've built that community. So I think as I grew and I started to gain more followers and more eyes on my profile, I made it very sure that things that matter the most to me, things that are volatile, things that can be affected by opinions, I want to keep it private. So maybe my partners, maybe my parents, just keeping that part, which I feel like can be prone to nazar. I kind of
Oh,
keep
that's real. That's
to,
quite
to
real.
Nazar is real,
myself.
actually,
Nazar is
yeah.
real.
And I think the places where they feel like if I want to speak about a restaurant, if I want to speak about an outfit, things that people can learn from, people can shop, buy, and a part of something that they feel relatable to, that I share.
Exactly. And there's quite a bad side to this as well. You know, as you said, people can be intrusive. We've seen so many influencers who've been open about their private lives on
Yeah.
social media. They've received a lot of slack. Not just that, people have created content about their personal lives on social media. So, absolutely, you know, there has to be a line drawn somewhere. But I feel even after a line being drawn, people will talk. There's no stopping.
That's their job.
Yes, that people will be intrusive, and yes, we are here to do our job, and we should keep it at that.
Exactly.
Okay, so moving on to our next topic at hand. Do you will you if you had to choose between authenticity and curation, you absolutely have to choose one, either being authentic or putting out a picture perfect image. Which one would you choose?
I would definitely choose authenticity because I feel like perfect is boring at this point. We do not want to see everything 100% right because it's not real. Real life does not have 100% accuracy in everything. So yeah, my choice would be authenticity.
Okay, great. So the next thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that how do you stay true to your brand? Like, you have a niche, right? You have a certain essence to your content that you put out. So how do you stay true to your content strategy? What is your strat behind it? How do you stay true to the brand that you've built for yourself on social media?
I, before a creator, was of course a consumer. And I have seen creators, once they grow and they start ending with brand deals, kind of lose the charm that they first got their audiences for. You know, I don't find them funny anymore. I don't know whether if they're recommending something, is it authentic or is it just because they're paying paid? And we as consumers are becoming very wise. We no longer are blindly believing what people are telling us. So I make sure that for every branded video that goes up, I have at least 5 organic videos that go up. Like, my
wonderful.
strategy has to be that, because I don't want people to come to my page and be like, oh, it's just another advertisement page, you know,
Exactly.
just another pretty girl showing pretty products.
There's something called influencer fatigue, actually, that, you know, when a creator does just paid promotions, that it's great for her, him, her. They're doing business at the end of the day. But somewhere the consumer feels that is this just for endorsements? When do we get to see the real self? Good for them, they're getting business done. But I feel influencer fatigue is something that is surely kicking in for a lot of influencers these days. Right?
Absolutely. And I feel like for me, I prefer to be called a content creator over an influencer because like I said, it came to me from a place of art, like from a place where I want to express myself. So brand deals coming in, great, wonderful. I'm great. There's another source of income, but that's not the intention behind the page. So it still remains Lake Uthaya. People still need to, somebody from 8th standards fumbles upon me and I still want them to say, oh, you know, you look different, but the energy remains the same, but your values look the same. And I make sure that every time it either gets too curated or too brand-y, I make sure I put in like a little bit of my flavor again.
Exactly. And this is the flavor that people actually look out for, you know. Research by Pew suggests that 40% of the consumers out there would actually prefer content creators who have that essence, that flavor, that they who retain that flavor in their content while putting out curated, branded content out there. And also another thing, y'all being in the industry, deep into it, the most I think one of the biggest things that must be bothering y'all is criticism and unsolicited advice. It is also the herd mentality of the audiences out there that, you know, the bullying, the hate comments. How do you deal with criticism, hate comments, or unsolicited advice? Maybe bullying for you as a content creator in the lifestyle genre. How do you deal with that?
I'll tell you a very funny story.
Yes, please.
When I
All
was
yours.
much younger, I was, let's say, 15, 16, there used to be something on Facebook called the Confessions page. Okay. And I'm talking way before influencering or social media even became a thing. And Confessions page, basically, people would be able to put their opinions across without being named. So it used to be anonymous.
Yes,
And there would be certain admins who just loved the tea and would like post it like a newspaper every day. So before going to school, I would like look at it to see if my name is put out or anything like that. And because I'm like very defensive as a person, I would comment back if somebody would say stuff. I'd be like, oh, who do you think you are? Okay, some GIF and like learn to speak English before you. That sort of childish stuff, okay? And I would feel like very proud. What happened is you spoke about herd mentality, right? I learned that at a very young age that when you respond, you invite more of that because they're like, oh, she's watching this. Let me say a little
fan
more.
the fire of it.
Absolutely. And I've had the most miserable 1 year of high school. The second year I learned my lesson. And because of that, that was like my biggest lesson. I said, you know what? The best response to a hater is no response. So when I became a public figure and when I get content and a lot of people say, sometimes it just reaches the wrong audience, okay? Even though I try to form a very urban audience for myself, sometimes it reaches people who are just randomly saying the most horrible things and they're abusing, and Instagram really needs to up
I
the
think it's become
guidelines.
quite a trend nowadays on Instagram where I see everywhere there are comments saying that, oh, the reel reached the wrong audience. It's become a huge trend where it's just misplaced. The content is misplaced and people go ham.
Yeah.
With their comments, people just go ham.
Yeah, and especially the videos that go viral, the ones that hit millions, also just get. And I've stopped looking at my comments after a point of time. I'm like, there's no point going through just for engagement purposes for the first 15 minutes. I'm responding and saying thank you, and after that, I don't open my notification bar because you have to for your own sanity purposes. Otherwise, you'll not be able to create the next day. If you take every criticism and try to work on it, there's a fine line between constructive criticism and hate.
Absolutely.
So I take if someone's saying the quality could be better, if someone's saying, oh, in this angle your face is getting cut,
These are
or
very
I couldn't hear
constructive.
your voice, I'm like, thank you, I will work on it. Maybe you're not looking at the camera enough, you're looking up a lot. I'm like, okay, I'll work on that. What do I say if you tell me, you deserve a better kitchen? Like, I'm sorry, you buy me a kitchen. But now watch my video or just scroll up. How hard is it?
I mean, we're not. Nobody's forcing you to watch the video, right? It's coming.
And to take out the time to sit and type stuff, and I'm like, I'll tell her what I feel. Don't. Like I nowadays I just like delete and I block. I don't even believe in. Yeah, I don't even want other people to see because then you start getting likes on those negative comments.
and they gain
exactly,
traction.
and they gain traction and they come to the top, and I'm like, you don't deserve it. Block, delete.
And it's your page at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
It's your content that you're putting out. People have the choice
Yeah,
to
exactly.
follow, to engage, right? If you don't like it, if you have constructive criticism, please. Welcome.
No, honestly, see, I'm also human. If I find, like, let's say somebody having a very cringe dance video, I hate it, okay? And I will look at it and I'll be like, I didn't deserve to see this in my day. I might even send it to a friend in a DM and say, oh my God, why does she have to put something like this? But it's still contained, right? She doesn't feel badly about it because I'm thinking of her as a human being. But
She doesn't get to. There are no repercussions of it.
yeah,
right? Of the action. That
so
you're
like
doing.
if you hate someone's content, maybe like either scroll, or if you find it so aggravating, send it to a friend and laugh in your DMs.
rant
yeah?
about it
Yeah,
personally.
like it's a free country. You do that with each other. Don't do it on the person's page because they forget this creator is also human and has feelings.
That is quite an issue where people tend to forget that content creators are humans at the end of the day. They're not just virtual
They just
figures.
want us to be perfect.
Content creators are not virtual figures. They have flesh, blood, and they exist in real
This
life.
profession is not for the weak-hearted. I can tell you that because you really have to take things with a pinch of salt and still wake up every day and do your thing.
Taking cue from that, you wake up every day and you're doing this, right? So you've been doing it for a while. Tell me, how do you deal with fatigue, content creation fatigue? Do you ever feel like, oh, I've been doing it for a long while. I need a sabbatical. I need a breather. I've had too much of algorithm engagement and reels. I need a break from it. If you do choose to take a break, how do you manage that? And if not, then how do you deal with the influencer fatigue? Do you space out your work or do you just stop it altogether? What do you do?
Yeah, I remember when my first reel went viral, I was like, this is the time for me to monetize on it. And I think for like a good year, I posted every single day. Like, even if I would be at office, I'd be like, no, I'll go to like whatever the rest area and I'm going to find good lighting. I'm going to shoot it, edit it, post it. And I on weekends would kind of shoot like a lot so that I could edit throughout the day and post to a point where I think life also changes. Like you said, lip syncing was really great at that time, but it isn't anymore. And then your engagement starts to tank, and then you get demotivated, and then you, because of that, think, okay, what do I do? In that strategizing time, there's a break, and just everything goes off. Brands are so picky about engagement, everything just starts to like go downhill, and then you start to question this as a career altogether.
Yes.
So I think what I would suggest to people would definitely, number one, batch create. That
Yes.
really helps, because now I've learned that, because batch creating, just you've got your makeup and hair on, or you've got like a lighting and that productivity mode on, like have your script ready, shoot like 5, 6, 7 of them, and just have, if you're lucky enough to have a team, great, send it to your editor, you get it, you post it, you're good to go. Secondly, to not run on this hamster wheel, you know, I feel like if it stops being fun and it starts feeling like work, then you're not gonna keep at it for really long. So yes, the algorithm will not favor you, yes, your engagement might tank, but if you are doing something continuously but not having fun, you might never pursue it again after a break.
It might leave a very bad taste in your mouth, and you might not want to come back to it.
And to be sustainable, fun needs to be there in it. So yeah, batch creating, spacing it out, even if you're posting twice a week, that's okay. Just keep it consistent, because that's what Instagram likes, to know that you're predictable.
Yes, it's art at the end of the day.
Precisely.
You're creating art, and there has to be some amount of passion that goes into it, right? And if you're continuously bogged by a pressure that, you know, I have to churn it out, I have to churn out. So according to a survey by Hootsuite, 40%, almost 40 to 41% of content creators out there suffer from a very negative impact of influencer fatigue. So it's great to see that I have such content creators with me today who have balanced it out, who know how to handle it, and are doing such great to battle it as well.
But it takes time. You don't learn it in the first year or the second year, because it's so addicting, you know, so you want to like keep at it. It only takes time and a few burnouts, honestly, to realize, to have that switch in your brain that can switch on creator mode and switch off creator mode, which again comes down to drawing a line with your private and your public life. I went on a vacation for my birthday, and I wanted to show that, because it was like an international trip, and I knew I would never get this experience again. So it matters. Like, you should be very sure, okay, do I want to capture this? Then you plan beforehand, you save your audios, you have your references, so it's easier. You're not bugging people around you saying, hey, photo lena, this angle was not nice. It's so annoying when people do that. So yeah, I think that sort of balance, to know, okay, this I will be capturing, I already have content, now I just don't want to. These are just things you learn. Having a calendar really helps. A content calendar, batching things together, and just knowing that in the end, you know, you're still human and you have a life, and you shouldn't have to run on this cycle.
So content creation is not a bed of roses, right? It's not just standing in front of the camera, talking, dressing up, eating. It's not just that. There's a lot of things that go behind it. There's scheduling, there's finding a niche for yourself, there's figuring out what works best, what doesn't work. So what ties all of this together is consistency, right? So how do you manage with keeping up consistency in what you're putting up? Consistency can either be with the schedule that you're putting up your work, or the consistency and quality of your work as well. How do you work on that?
I think on the contrary, I am very structured as a person, because I'm juggling so many things at the same time. So my best friend is my Google Calendar. Like, I might not look at my mom's face in the morning, but I'll open my Google Calendar in the morning. So that helps me keep my structure in. So I have, because I'm such a corporate commerce student girl, I have my quarterly goals, I have my half-yearly goals, I have, okay, how much should I be reaching at what time? How should I re-strategize if something is not working out? And you can't do that if I just go with the flow, or if I just post whenever I feel like. That's my experience. Algorithm has not been the kindest to me. So in that sense, I think calendars are a great tool to know, okay, today, is it going up? Don't wake up in the morning and be like, should I post or should I not post?
Don't contemplate.
Yeah, don't contemplate. To have things beforehand. So pre-planning in that sense helps. Having fun, like I said before, definitely helps, because if you are doing it just for the sake of it, it'll show. And then you shouldn't be surprised if that content doesn't do well, because your heart was not in it. And I think, yeah, these are the two things that honestly help me stay consistent.
Great. And since we are talking about authenticity, juggling authenticity and curation online, have you noticed any significant difference in how people approach you, or in comments, and what people say about you, when you've shown a very raw version of yourself versus a very curated version of yourself? Like, have you seen a shift in how people treat you whenever something like this has happened?
A lot. I feel like my branded content, it's so hard for it to reach the right people, because brands are so picky with how they want each frame to be, what colors you're wearing, and all of that, to a point where an audience sees, and the problem is that and I don't know how this can be solved, but I know the problem. Campaigns roll out at the same time,
Yes.
right? So I'm seeing like a hair oil coming in 10 different creators' feed at the same time. So as soon as I'm seeing like another creator with the thing, probably in the first 5 seconds, they say show the product. I'm seeing it and I know that this is
It's
not
the same
authentic.
skeleton, right?
It's the same skeleton. They say, oh, wake up, and then you say that your hair is itchy. You see it 3 times, you're like, okay, next. Because there's so much more to view. Why would I watch the same thing for the 5th time? Which is why, especially in India, I really feel like creative freedom should be given. Like, especially for me as a creator, I'm always like, can I at least put this because I have this style of content, and that's when people will watch till that time, and they're like, no, 15 seconds, and then the reach doesn't come. What do I do? Because you've not listened to me. I know my audience more than you.
Exactly.
So-
And everybody is unique, right? Everybody has their own USPs.
Yeah.
We follow y'all for the USPs that y'all offer to us. So if you're not given that creative freedom, it's how are you going to be different from the other 30 content creators
Yes.
who've been given the same task?
Yeah.
And talking about creative freedom, what is your go-to creative strain or a little tactic or something that is unique to you that you use in your content that makes it more engaging, more fun, more good, which works out for you exactly?
I think I've learned through a lot of trial and error, and I have made like a curated checklist that stays on my notes app. And before I'm posting that content, I go through the checklist, and if like most of them don't abide, I don't post. For example, is the video well lit? If it's a yes, then it's a go. Is the quality HD? If it's not, it doesn't go. Is the audio clear, or am I using a trending audio if necessary, or is the audio clear if it's a no thing? That goes ahead, or it doesn't go ahead. And like that, there are like a few checklists that I keep, and making sure if there is a hook in the first 15 seconds, is it engaging enough? And I have the ability to view my content through a third person's perspective as well. No matter how much effort I've put into that content, I don't post on the same day, like I said, because I schedule. Maybe 3 days later, I look at it again, and I'm such a perfectionist, it's a problem. But I look at it again, and if it's feeling like maza nahi aa raha hai, I don't
Something's
put it.
not right about
Yeah,
it.
I'm like, nahi chahiye. What's the point just to put it only for you to then not get the engagement and feel bogged down? Because you know by now what looks good, what feels good, and what
To
doesn't.
figure out the right fit, the right
Correct.
ratio of elements.
Correct. So that notes thing, I think I would suggest that to everybody who's a creator to actually have a checklist to start off with, and that will guide them going ahead, and they can add more things to it.
That is a great tip for people starting out. Another thing I want to ask you from this is, what advice would you like to give to new content creators, to budding content creators who are trying to create a public persona of them, but at the same time they want to keep some strains of their private self, of who they are, of their innate selves also a part of their public persona? How to get a delicate balance of it, basically how to not completely alienate your private life from your public persona, how to find the right mix when you're doing that, when you're just starting out.
Because I also work as a pageant coach, I have trained over like hundreds of girls who've come to me with wanting to be a public figure, but not getting over their insecurities or having like a restriction in their mind. And with coming from an Indian society, it's a very common thing to feel like, parents might not like what I'm putting, relatives will say things about me, I don't look a certain way as this XYZ person. Is it too saturated, the market at this point? Is there even a chance for me to enter? So I think what advice I would give would be, number one, to get over that mindset block that you have. Nothing will come out if you yourself after every post think, maybe I shouldn't be pursuing this. It didn't do well because XYZ reason, so I stop. Why would you start then? So I think a mindset shift you need to bring, and to be a public figure, you've got to act like a public figure, right? So it comes in your daily life, and I teach that also, to like wake up and put yourself together, to wake up and make eye contact with people, smile more. These are personality traits which will eventually convert onto camera.
Absolutely.
You can't be 100% shy person but say I want to be a 1
can't make
million.
that switch, right?
How are you going to do that? We're human beings, right? So I think that would be one. And secondly, it would be to start slow, but to start. Even if it's once a week, even if it's once a fortnight, put out something without overthinking it to a point where you ruin that for yourself. A lot of us struggle with overthinking, especially if you've seen so much great content by great creators and you're like, I come nowhere close,
The
man.
comparison
That's
is
the
very
enemy.
detrimental.
Comparison is the enemy. So when you asked how to keep a personal side of them and keeping their flavor intact while also wanting to be a personal figure, the step private public figure, the first one would be to stop comparing. That creator that you're seeing who's doing exceptionally well got there because they started somewhere really poorly with a terrible Android phone that does not have a lot of pixels, and probably felt like they wanted to quit a lot of times before they got there. The difference between you and them is just that they were consistent.
Exactly.
And they found their way. So if you don't try, you won't know.
Yeah, and these days we have apparently 75% of Gen Zs out there. They like it. They like the smaller creators better because they are more relatable. They prefer to support people starting out. So absolutely, your advice: go in line. That just start.
Yes.
Take the leap. Start with it. Whatever,
There's
wherever you
place
are.
for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can
Just
all
start.
coexist.
And what about when people doubt whether they're good or not, whether it will work or not? This entire scarcity that this big influencer has this, I don't have it. The entire doubt of whether it will work or not. I know it's definitely. It's very mental a thing that what will happen, but how do people deal with it? Like, how do you overcome that thought of I'm not good enough for social media? How do you do that?
I think I would actually give an advice that actually comes from a tattoo I actually have in my hand.
Oh.
It says I am enough because I mean I have a few, but this one says I am enough, and it very much goes in context because I, for the longest time, felt like I wasn't doing enough, that I wasn't being enough. And that in turn resulted in me holding other people in such high standards and being disappointed by them constantly. Any sort of maybe friendships, relationships, anything. And it really took me a while to understand, oh, it's because I need to first be satisfied with what I'm doing, with what I have. I had a friend in high school and both of us wanted to get into acting. She had parental support, for example. So she's gone really far now and she's doing really well. And for the longest time, we'd unfollowed each other for whatever reason, but I would keep going to her profile, look at her vibrant life and just feel terrible because I'd be like, this could have been me only if I had support, but I'm here struggling for myself only for one evening. And that reflects in your other aspects of life. I'll not create enough because I'll just be like, but this person's got so much going on for her and I have not.
That
So what is the
negative,
point?
Yeah.
The way comparison impacts you is horrible, especially in the age of social media. So I think one evening I just decided that have the willpower to not look at that person. It's as simple as that. You have a very different life and you have your own growth journey, right? And you are trying everything in your hand that's possible. Everybody has their own timelines. Don't try to clash and be like, that
force
person
it,
at that age, at this time, she's done this, I have not done this. How is that possible? Arey, kya farak padta hai? She might stop after a point. You know that story of the hare and the tortoise. Slow and steady wins the race. You keep going. Stay steady. So I think with that intention, it is that's coming from the bottom of my heart that goes like that. I am not enough wali feeling is only coming because you're focusing on others more than you.
Absolutely.
So just focus on your path, see how you can do better, make your past self your competition and just be like, am I better today than I
Work
was
on
yesterday?
yourself. Work on yourself.
And if you're so focused on yourself, you will stop feeling that lack or that scarcity mindset that you have.
Okay, now that we're at the end of the episode, we'll do a fun little rapid fire. Okay, so my first question to you is, what is one trend that you absolutely hated but had to do it? You.
I am a professional dancer, so these TikTok dances that came to
Oh, yeah.
Instagram, I hated, but I did it for a while. After that,
And thankfully, it's died down
It's
right
died
now.
down,
There's
thankfully,
no
yeah.
more people doing
Yeah.
the same dance anymore. Okay, next question. If you had to delete one social media off the earth, which one would you do away with?
I'm going to say something very controversial because it's the app that got me where I am. But I think I'm done with Instagram.
Is it too much work?
If it just goes away, I think we'll all live a happier life.
Can't agree.
Okay, next question. What is one social media rule that you've broken secretly? And what about you?
Mine would be to not necessarily have a DSLR camera on my
Whole
face
setup.
the whole time. I think authenticity also comes from picking up your phone. So, yeah.
And my last, a little controversial question to you is, do your followers need to know or deserve to know how much you make from social media? The exact number.
No, I don't like people to be privy of my financial information, but I would say that it differs. So for someone thinking to make this solely their source of income, it takes a while. So know that you will your bank balance will be unstable and so will your mental health a little.
Understandable. Thank you so much for coming over today. We've had a wonderful, very insightful session with you. Lovely ladies. Thank you so much. And we had a great time having you over on this episode of Confluence Unplugged. Hoping to see you both soon again.
Thank you for having us.
We hope you thoroughly enjoyed this episode of Confluence Unplugged and that we could shed some light into the insights of how do creators maintain their individuality while catering to the demands of their audiences. like, share, and subscribe for more such riveting discussions in the field of social media and influencer marketing. Stay happy, stay kind, and keep go flowing.